How postmodernism destroyed the meaning of life. I was thinking about for this issue for a long time, and I realized that this is not the key of the success. This is not the what I wanna mention. In the modernity, people just only believe in positivism and the science, and the general facts can be perceived as a truth. But in the modernism, the truth can be destroyed, and in self of the truth can be replaceable. That's the reason why in the science, in the religion, in the general facts, all this kind of information or the knowledge can be replaced in the postmodernism. What we have learned in the modernism can be destroyed in the postmodernism. So if you're asking my opinion whether it is necessary or not, but I'm going to give an answer like from my perspective. That's the reason why we are talking about the postmodernism. In the postmodernism, everyone has different kind of point of views. Everyone's view is different from each other. Mostly in the postmodernism, people perceiving the world in a kind of something like a behind of the limits. Mostly the our limitation can be declared by the our surroundings or the environment. But in the postmodernism, we need to destroy this environment. We need to just get the beyond of the limits. If we just surpass our limits, probably it's going to be easier to understand other revolutions, other point of views, other frames. In the modernism, mostly people looking the world in a one perspective, in a one frame. But in the postmodernism, all the frames have been weaved can be different and can be distinguishable. Why? Mostly if you just see the picture in a one frame, it can be perceived as a wrong. For example, in the postmodernism, you can watch the picture from above this wall. Maybe you can watch the picture out of the 20 or 40 kilometers away. Maybe you can watch the picture in front of the pictures. Maybe you can watch the picture from right side or the left side. So the understanding of the meaning can be replaceable by who it seeing this. So the see who is seeing this something like the objects or the idea or the thinking can be changeable just depending on who are seeing. It's understandable. Okay, what is the meaning of life? Everybody is trying to ask this question for a long time and they are trying to find an answer and a solution, but it's not giving a guarantee. In every age, in every century, the meaning of life is changing. Some people pursuing as a ideology, and some people pursuing as a religion, and some people pursuing in a like the political party, and some people believing in the philosophy, and some people believing reading books, and some people trying to be famous on the internet. And when you think about the people who are the influencers and influencing the people, and they are trying to create something new, and they want to make other people believe on it. If you can make other people believe on your path, probably you have a more chance than ever, and you can be famous and you can be unique. Mostly the postmodernism has taught us something. Everyone has a different kind of path in this life. If you want to create your own path, you need to just move forward and you can be different from other people. If you want to just analyze the truth, if you want to go to the beyond of the limits, mostly you need to understand the other ideas, other thoughts as well. Why? Mostly before you're creating your own path, you are getting reflection and you are getting resonate by the other ideas. If you're asking my opinion, I was just thinking for a while what is the meaning of a life and what is can be describable and what is can be acceptable. Describable, acceptable, the answer will going to be simple. I will say that the answer of this life, probably what we are just pursuing, what we are thinking about, is can be based on not relativism but also resonation. Like the resonate, which is a very popular term I just created. Maybe I didn't create it, someone else created it before, but I'm just thinking about the resonation, ambience, and some like a lighting, illumination. Not illumination is something like a different, but lighting, resonation is so clear here. Like the mostly there are a bunch of questions here, okay? The questions can be different, can be disruptable, can be replaceable. A crucial clarification, postmodernism didn't argue meaning away, it dissolved the conditions that made meaning possible. Okay? The life has no meaning. There is no stable truth. There is no universal story. There is no final reference point. So stop solving. Everybody's thinking like the or thinking style of the religion is correct. Most people believe in Islam, and they say that Islam is a correct religion and everybody should believe in it. It's wrong. Some people are going to argue that Jewish is the most believable religion in this world, and we need to be Jewish all around the world. We need to spread around the world. It is wrong. If you are a Christian, you could say that Jesus Christ helped us a lot, and even he got beat from someone else, from his right side of this face, and he just opened his left side like that. So open his left side and getting beaten by right side, just open the left side, something like that. But the point of view is so different. Then there is no stable truth here. Mostly you are just asserting that my truth is correct and everybody should believe on it. But mostly when you are thinking about your own truth, it is generally coming from your ancestors, maybe your grandfather, maybe your father, maybe your grandfather, maybe the environment which you are living, which you are trying to develop yourself, which you are trying to continue to live. For example, if you are living in a very conservative society, your understanding, your behaviors, your actions can be declared. Maybe you can think about the determinism like the Freud, like the Spinoza mentioned that before, but I'm not really arguing this kind of terms, but also it is the Stephen Hawking theories also as well. We can as understandable and we can count it, like the STEM and METI and SETI. You know, you are sending a message to the universe and messaging the interstellar. Just give me a second. What was the name of this? Like the messaging to what was the METI and SETI? Just can you give me a second? I'm going to explain the settings like that. METI and SETI explanation. Okay, reading. Okay, give me the example of the METI and SETI. It could be more beneficial because I was thinking like, okay, the SETI means search for extraterrestrial intelligence and listens for signals from space. And Stephen Hawking mentioned that we need to listen the space rather than just sending a message. Like, okay, messaging to extraterrestrial intelligence, and you are just trying to send a message to aliens. But another theory is blowing up here. If the aliens can see your message and can understand your message, probably it's going to be tough because mostly, if they can perceive you, and they can also perceive you as a threat. So that's the reason why it's very dangerous to send a message to the universe. So what you should do here? You should do the exact your meaning, and you need to try your conditions. If you just beyond of your limits, it's gonna be easier. So any civilization capable of interstellar communication is likely far more advanced than us. When a technologically superior civilization meets a weaker one on Earth, the weaker one usually suffers colonialism, exploitation, extinction. Exactly, extinction, exploitation, colonialism. According to my opinion, the world is very bigger than our thoughts. For example, the universe is just getting bigger and getting bigger, and you can just say that if there is no God, probably it will be hard to continue to live as a human being. Maybe I'm not sure whether the God exists or not, but approximately my potential is better the potential of having a God. Okay, if there's a God, it will be better, because if there is a two gods or three gods, probably it would be a fight. Probably they couldn't deal with each other, so that's the reason why the one God is more logically. And another thing, like if wouldn't be any God, probably the aliens, the other interterrestrial forms could come to the world and they could conquer this world. Colonialism, like the exploitation, it would be happen according to my opinion. If you just see someone else better than you, just powerful than you, probably are going to suffer because they have a potential to it. So another crucial question here, which is trying to understand, which is delving into this era. So relationships, the meaning requires structure. For example, there is a hierarchy of values. Some things matter more than others, like the history, meaning was granted God, nature, history, progress, reason, or destiny. Most of these kind of words are more important, like the thinking about the destiny, thinking about the God, thinking about the religion, think about the history. Mostly the debation or the conversations are just coming from this kind of topic base and this kind of themas. That's the reason why most of the people trying to continue to talk about the same thing every time. When after the 1000 years later or the 2000 years later, probably everyone will going to speak about Aristotle and Platon still, and maybe they can just jump up to Spinoza, Spinoza, Heidegger, and Haydn, Wagner, and like the Lacan and Jean Baudrillard, maybe the Descartes. There are a bunch of the modern philosophers as well, and maybe they are going to talk about this kind of philosophers, and maybe they try to give the meaning of it. So it is also understandable, right? Most of the people trying to believe the things which they have created, and they are trying to continue to do that. Is it logical? Exactly, it is logical, but it is what it is, the life of a meaning here. The progress, science, humanity, the future. Okay, modernity has reduced people to objects, but it still believed those objects were going somewhere. Exactly. Postmodernism actually does. Relativism, nihilism, ironic chaos. Most of the structures can be changeable, even you are just giving a meaning of a life. For example, maybe the point of view can be different, perceivable, and maybe the understanding can be different. For example, let's think about the Mona Lisa table. Mona Lisa, like the picture, okay? When you are looking to Mona Lisa, someone else is going to just say that she's a very beautiful woman I have ever seen. Maybe someone else will going to say that the table for the Mona Lisa, the table of the Mona Lisa, it's not just reflecting the Da Vinci's theories, and according to my opinion, it is not very beautiful enough. Have you ever seen that the two concepts, mostly someone else just watching the picture as a beauty standards, and someone else just watching the picture as a theory standards, and everyone has a different kind of understanding of a life. Some people seeing the life in the beauty standards, and some people seeing the life in the idea standards and the thought standards. So it is better to understand which way we are going to prefer. Some people have less abstractals, and some people have less meaning and correlation, and some people have less tendency to understand the world in their own ways, and some people can judge the other people in a prejudice. But mostly some people will going to analyze, they have just lost their prejudice, their limits, and they can see the world, and they can make the empathy between the other people. But for some people it's really hard. Some people are really away from doing the empathy. That's the reason why it is better to not talk with them. For example, someone else just trying to write a comment on the social media, and they are giving to some like a, what we are going to say, they are trying to some like make fun of with the other people easily on the internet. Why? They are the fake accounts, and they're saying the streamers, that the writers, and the other famous people on the internet, they are writing that you are so fucking ugly, you are so dangerous for our society, your knowledge sucks. Example. Why they are just saying that? Because in their houses, their fathers are yelling them, and maybe they don't have any respect in the society. Nobody is talking with them. That's the reason why they are so angry. They are not getting any attention. That's the reason why they are opening their X and other social media accounts, and they are trying to fight with other people's accounts. And that's the reason why they are trying to fight with them, and they are trying to get their position. But it is not going to be possible, because nobody is taking care of them in the real life. That's the reason why they are just opening a social media, and they are trying to give their solutions, give their answers, give their opinions. Most in the real life, nobody's talking with them, nobody's trying to give attention to them. So if nobody getting attention in the real life, probably they are going to be angry in the social life or the social media. So it is better understanding, like the meaning of the chaos, the meaning of the irony can be understandable here. We cannot do anything else for these people, because if you aren't successful enough, for example, let's think about the YouTube videos. When you record, everybody can record a YouTube video, right? If your videos doesn't get watched, bro, no one will going to give attention to you, and your ideas are shit, and your real life are shit. If you would get watched on the social media, probably someone else will going to take care of your opinions. If someone else doesn't take care of your opinions, probably the issue is not others, issue is you. You need to understand your point of view. Maybe the big idea, the big problem can be you rather than others. So I'm not going to judge everyone else here, but sometimes it can be opposite as well. But generally, that I mean that before. The first one is just generally true. Generally. Okay. Who we are, the meta-narrative storytellers, where we came from, where we are going, and why suffering might be worth enduring. If you are just talking about the suffering in the real life, If you don't suffer, you cannot gain anything. Everyone just think about the playing games. For example, I have been playing Assassin's Creed for a long time ago, and I realized that I just made a chat and I just try to skip the parts in a very short of time and with the chat, and then I quit to play game. Why? Mostly whenever I'm just playing the game, I was just getting hardships, and it would be so hard sometimes just passing the parts, passing the sections. And then I realized that if you just use the chat and if you use the some like a different kind of programs in order to just pass the sections, probably after you do that, mostly there won't be any meaning of the life, and then you will quit to continue to play this Assassin's Creed, or even it's we can replace its life. It's so okay. For example, think about the God. You can do whatever you want. You can just come to the earth. You can fuck anyone else, and you can just be with anyone else, and you can just stop the time. You can just make the time before. Even the time God's plan is so already is possible. You can do whatever you want. So that's the reason you can get bored, and you can just start the battles between the people, and you can watch the people. You can give some power to some people. You can give some other things to people. Maybe we can also think that the gods may become bored of the life, and he created the Hitler, Stalin, and other dictators, and then he wants to play the game in the world. That's the reason why sometimes when the god is bored of life, maybe he could do that. There's no 101% guarantee here, but because of that, and people like the Leibniz mentioned that before, the some evil can be lead to a big favor, but it's not a true, brother. And even the some like a Voltaire in the candidate, he make fun of with the Leibniz. He made fun of with the Leibniz. So correct, brother. The evil, the bad things, the big things can be lead us to better things and the better good things. It is not possible, brother. It's not 101% guarantee. So people shouldn't be believe on it. People shouldn't rely on it. Suffering is not worth enduring, brother. Like sometimes you have an end of year and you are suffering, maybe physically, maybe mentally. But if you're just getting more, just something like a suffering from the life, probably it's going to be tough for you, and nobody will going to come up with you, and you are going to say that I'm just suffering enough, and it is worth trying, but it's not, because mostly you need to deal with the people, you need to understand the people, and you need to check your opinions whether it's correct or not. But sometimes you can get danger, and you can be in a very bad position while you are just saying and talking about the truth, because truth is also changeable here. The power games, construction illusions, language traps, the optional, personal, temporary, reversible. Okay, it's decoration and language traps. That from truth to choice, mindfulness, hostile culture, spirituality, nihilism, irony, aesthetics, nothing at all. For example, think about the spiritualism. According to my opinion, the spiritualism came from the some like animism. The animism just affect the spiritualism here, but you cannot. Spirituality is so different. Spiritual, like the spiritual wave, is more before than animism, but the spirituality and the spiritualism be after just get based on the animism, according to my opinion. So even this kind of religion, spiritualism, ruhbanism, and just some like maybe mysticism, most of this kind of beliefs are changing itself. For example, think about the shamanism. Think about the Manichaeism. This kind of religions are just latest to spiritualism. Maybe Manichaeism is not alive today, but it replaced itself to the some like a spiritualism. That's the reason why most of the religions are replacing itself and circle to circle. It's some like a circle. For example, even you are thinking about the some like a mysticism, tasawwufism. This kind of beliefs are also based on the different kind of ideas which have been created before. Like for example, think about the paganism. So the paganism affected the Arabic history and the Middle Eastern country. After the paganism, when the Islam, just Christianity, Jewish have been replaced in the all around the world, and most of this kind of three religion, maybe we are thinking about Semavi religion, that's the correct doctrine religions, which we are three, but sometimes we can just add the Sabi and the Zerdushism, sometimes we can just count as a five, mostly, but they're the inside just person as a three, okay? Most of this kind of beliefs, how can I say that? Like, as I mentioned that before, just disrupted and criticized the paganism at the first. Why? Because the paganism, like think about the some like ox, not a ox like the maybe the understand, and something like a other things I was just thinking about, like deer and the god. Okay, mostly in paganism, the deer is very sacred. The god is very sacred as well. If you are just thinking about some like Christianity, in the Christianity, try to just disrupt the meaning of a god, which is very important for the paganism, and they make the god figure and symbol as a shaitan, and that's the reason why the shaitan just looks similar with the god and sometimes deer. Why? Mostly just getting it to the god. Why? Because god is very sacred and very important in the paganism, and why if you want to just destroy the religion, you need to change their sacred objects and their sacred myths firstly. For example, the god is very sacred in the paganism. What you can do, take the god and bring it to some like a what was the name of this, some like a horn. Okay, take the god, make the horn like the shaitan, and everybody can perceive it as a some like a figure. The paganism is very shit and it's representing shaitan, but the shaitan is a figure like which you create in your religion. In your religion, shaitan meaning is very dangerous, but in their religion can be very opposite. For example, in the Islam, shaitan, and the Christianity and Jewish, most people perceiving as a shaitan is a bad figure. But you need to understand, the shaitan have made us very something like a understandable different kind of point of view. Most shaitan help us to understand this, and they give us different kind of understanding consciousness. The shaitan gave us consciousness, like think about Adam and Hawa. If you think about Adam and Hawa, they were naked in the heaven and they were talking with each other. The Allah, which is the creator of the centuries, the everything universe and something like, the God were seeing Adam and Hawa in a naked form. And after the shaitan said them that you are so naked and you need to get some like a different kind of things, like the most you need to wear the other things like saying, can you just like can you just give me a second, like I'm just reading understand. Yeah, fig leaves. The god gave them like the shaitan said shaitan gave them the consciousness, and Adam and Hawa tried to wear fig leaves for themselves, or just closing their sexual the penis and the vagina there. So it was so dangerous. I won't think about Sabi. Sabi religion as a Sabi is coming from the Hawa mostly, but this can understand, but this can be debatable in a bad way. Okay, so the mostly the people of that their understanding styles are so different. That exactly is just a fig leaf, and as I mentioned that before. So the silent psychological consequences, like they are distracted and they are excuses and they are fine mostly. But even the postmodernism, like the other gnostic point of view, the shaitan gave us consciousness and he help us. That's the reason why some people think about the like something like satanism. But the satanism in there itself, nothing think about the God is very bad. Other like the devil worships, which is the Yazidis, and they think like that they are just praying to devils, but it's not. The Yazidis are believing and the angel, like the angel Taos, exactly. So it's just so different kind of views here. Okay, angel Taos, okay, exactly. So none of this really matters, but I still have to wake up tomorrow. Exactly, that the nihilism and the flame. Maybe think about the Nietzsche. Maybe we can talk about the Bengi circle and other things like the Franz Kafka. He just arguing that we are just going committing our jobs, coming back our homes, and we are trying to understand even your family people doesn't, even your family members don't give you any attention, and you are someone else, an object for them. You are going your job, coming your job. Even think about the Sisyphus, which is a very great metaphor here, and Sisyphus trying to take the bring the rock and trying to carry to summit, and then trying to just trying to fall with the rock to the ground and doing it again and again and again and again, like something like a Prometheus. And when the Prometheus is same, he's just getting attention by the crow from his love, and then his love is trying to continue to just regain his love, and the crow coming and taking his love, and he's just continue to bring their love again. So here the solution is there is no solution. Even the Zeus gave him punishment. I believe like the most the recently I have just as much as I understood, like as much as I remember, the Zeus gave him some like a punishment for that. So to Prometheus, like the Zeus give Prometheus punish. Exactly like Zeus Zeus punished Prometheus like the exactly. Some like other things as well, like the because the mother Prometheus is very dangerous because he warned and he gave consciousness to other people, but even the something like the shaitan also gave the consciousness. What is the meaning of consciousness? Trying to understand the reality. And the realities are changeable. Mostly people don't like to hear the realities and the real forms. Mostly people try to believe on the facts and the general facts, the lies. For example, as a Turkish member, it is really hard for me to go to the first or second class nations. Mostly they are underestimating my class, underestimating my point of views. But at least we are trying in order to change my location and country. Why? Because mostly if your country is not if your country doesn't so powerful enough, mostly people are going to judge you, and you have any chance to change your country, etc. Mostly you are going to get judged. It is so hard for us. If you are living in a very not very well developed country, most of this kind of people trying to go to the first or second class nations, which is not appealing by the other people. For example, German, Japan, they don't like the Turks, etc. What we can do for it, like it is the reality of life. I'm a Turkish, but my ancestors from Bulgaria, but they are not giving us the any solution for it. Mostly the highly pressure cultures, just smashing the lower developed countries or the cultures. For example, think about the Chinese culture. Chinese culture is very, 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 very just based on the history, and it is very, very old. That's the reason why his branches are coming from the past. It is very strict, and it is very like some like a matter object for as a history. That's the reason why it is very powerful. But if you think about the other countries, like the Bulgarian culture, are so less developed than the Chinese culture. That's the reason why Chinese culture is developed. Mostly the Bulgarian people can try to understand the Chinese culture because it's the upper culture, it's the subordinate culture, and some like a are like submissive culture and subordinate culture. Okay, if you're just like the subordinate or the submissive culture, like the developed culture and the underdeveloped culture, maybe the very historical culture and very prehistorical culture and historical culture. It's so they are the so different kind of point of views and the base facts here. Okay, if your history is old than enough, probably people can respect you. But if your history do not like, if your history doesn't just based on the very very historical era, probably it's going to tough just getting just respect. But think about the American culture is not very some like a historian or the very centuries like a culture, and they create their culture in a modern areas, and it's understandable because they conquered this island and they killed the 10 million Kızılderili there, like the reds, some like a red people there in the like the America people have killed them, and they are mostly just coming from prisoners. Like think about the Australia, most of the England prisoners living in Australia, most of the Chinese prisoners living in Japan, and they are thinking like we don't like the immigrants. Mostly they were the prisoners at the first. That's the reason why they are so angry. They are so some like a can start a battle because their cells, their ancestors were the prisoners, and they carried their genes. Okay, even the Australia, even the Japan, even the America are the same countries because they are so aggressive. Why? Because they were the prisoners at the first. They are just carrying a prisoner gen. Okay, why the other nations are so less dangerous? That I think about its genes, okay, rather and the environment also. It's my point of view. It's kind of changeable. So the suffering become pointless, anxiety, epidemics, loneliness, identity crisis, constant irony, fear of commitment. What like the irony is so different kind of view, okay? Mostly we are suffering, the irony can be replaceable, and we are trying to understand the other people's ideas as well. So the other thing like we are trying to mention that like identity. which identity are you carrying? Have you ever thought that before? If you are living under identity crisis, it's going to be tough for you. Some people trying to criticize their identification, and some people trying to do something different from each other, and some people trying to carry a meaning when they were coming this world. Some people has a different kind of meaning in this life, like can be it's changeable. Like the identity, which mostly it's not declared from your race, it's declared from the culture and some like traditions. The mostly you have two chances whether you can accept your culture, accept your identity, or you can reject your identification. Most people are going to say that you are coming from the Nigeria, and you will say that I'm rejecting my identification. But most people are going to say you and you are African, and it's so certain. But if you're someone else from the Kazakhstan, if you say that I'm rejecting my Kazakh identification, it's also understandable, but mostly in the end, you are going to analyze and understand that even the Kazakh identification can be replaceable by the Russian identification, because there is a correlation between the Russia and the Kazakhstan. Even their faces are so check. So here the issue is, as I mentioned that before, if you are living in some cultures, for example, the Japanese people once upon a time were the Chinese people. So Japanese people can declare Japanese identity, but also they can just bring the name identity as a Chinese identity because they are coming from China in the end, right? Right. The other things as well, maybe you can just declare your identification. For example, in Turkey, they have a great just similarities. They have a great impact by the Middle Eastern countries like the like some like Islam, the other Middle Eastern countries like Syria and Iran and other trading paths. Like most of the religion is spread by the traders, by the some like the paths, the some like a base. It's so important for us. The other thing I want to mention that like as I mentioned that I think like I was so obsessed with that. If you are just trying to declare yourself as a not Turkish, is understandable why. Most Turkish identification is replace itself. For example, if we were living in the we were living in the East Asia, maybe we were living in the Middle Asia, and we came here to Anatolia. But before coming to Anatolia, we were living in the Middle Asia, and the culture in the Middle Asia were so different. Maybe getting affected by China, we get affected by Russia, like the Gök Turks, etc. But here we are getting affected by the some like a Middle East, and most of their people believing in the Islam, and we are getting effect from them. But also the Turkish people didn't accept the Islam in a very peacefully. They accept the Islam by force, according to my opinion. But they can also still believe in Islam. I don't care about their opinions. It's their opinions in that. But we need to understand the truth. When you say you are rejecting the identification, for example, let's say I have seen a video in the Iran. People in the Iran recently were just disobeying and disagree with their own flags, and they don't accept their flags, and they just hang a different flag which have a figure of the lion. You know the figure of the lion, and the figure of the lion is so important for us. Like the lion in the new Iran flag, maybe it's not a lion and sun, okay? There were a lion and sun. The sun mostly can be a figure of the Zerdushism, according to my opinion. But the lion was so important. In the new Iran flag, this symbol have been just distinguished, and they have just tried to put it out, and this figure. That's the reason why people are going to complain. Maybe if they don't like the Iranian government, mostly the Iranian government trying to do the things by using their flag, okay? And then after they are using their flags, most of the people are going to just start a rebellion, and then they are using the symbol of the lion, and that's so understandable here, right? Because most people need to think about the Turkey. If they don't like the very Turkish flags, mostly they are putting the Atatürk figure here. Mostly, if they wanna disagree with the government, mostly the government can use the flag as a something like a rule maker. And then if people don't like it, people just add that Atatürk figure, and maybe they can just change their flags to Turan flag, which is very very old. If this country just get into the more Islamic era, people going to protest this. Mostly the Turks. Okay, I want to tell us the truth. The Turkish people maybe have the tendency of believing in Islam, but according to my opinion, they are not very strict in the Islamic religion. Maybe they are praying to going to mosque, but they are not praying every time. They are going to mosque Friday to Friday. It's understandable. Most people just believe in the Sunnism, but they are living like Alevi here. I'm not sure it is my point of view here, but here you need to understand. Even the kind of religion is so different. For example, the other things, the Shafiism, okay? It is maybe it's popular in some areas, but it's also popular in for example, like like the other Shafiism, like Indonesia and Malaysia, and people mostly believe in the Shafism. Mostly the Shafi traders went to Indonesia and to Malaysia. That's the reason why they start to believe in some like a Shafism as a doctrine, but as a way. But the other things I want to mention that we are trying to live in this world in a very, very different way, and we are just trying to change the meanings itself. And some people being successful in it, some people cannot be successful in it, but it's okay because it's a postmodernism here. We are just disrupting the reality. Even the history events, like we are just trying to give understanding historical events in a different kind of way. For example, like how can I say, like in the postmodernism, the America conquered Venezuela. It's so bad. Like maybe we can change it. The America cleaned the terrorists from the era. Like maybe it's so better. Okay, maybe some like if you don't say someone else, Trump or maybe America has killed someone else in the Middle East, or maybe we can give another example. The America, just some like what we can say. America entered Iraq. Okay, it's so bad for the other things. Like America cleaned like some like a location. America cleaned Iraq from the terrorists. It's so different. Like America entered Iraq. The America just cleaned Iraq from the terrorists. It is so different. Like the first one is very dangerous for America. The second time America helped Iraq. Okay, mostly whenever just thinking about America bringing democracy. Like think about America. Like America bringing democracy to Middle East. It means America wanna start a battle with the Middle Eastern people. It is so dangerous kind of point of view. Like, for example, respect. It's the meaning of a respect is so different. Just give an example from the Japanese society. In the Japanese society, people say the foreigners should respect to our Japanese culture. Respect our Japanese culture. What does it mean? What you are giving the meaning of a respect and respect. We need to just give a mutual respect and we need to just deal with each other easily. But in the end, it's so different. The respect meaning of itself, people need to obey the Japanese rules in the Japan. The respect is not mutual. It is the one side. Meaning of respect. If you think about Germany, we need to respect each other. But in the end, it's so different. The respect of a meaning is different. In Germany, like we need to both respect us and we need to understand each other, quickly. But in the Japan, as I mentioned that before, in the Japan, you need to obey to Japanese people because it is the meaning of respect in Japan is so different. So mostly, even the Wittgenstein mentioned that before, we are perceiving the world in a low level of the words counts and a low level of the meaning of the words because we want to surpass or behind of the limits, behind of the words. For example, profit and benefit. Okay, mostly they are the same similarity meanings in this life. The profit it can be understandable. Maybe you can getting more salary and it's profitable for you. But the benefit it's so different and some like it's a good meaning rather than the profit. Profit just think about utilize the situation, just take advantage of the situation. But the benefit is maybe can be useful for you. But useful look at this. Useful and take advantage. Useful, take an advantage. What is the meaning of this more better, more understandable? Taking advantage and being useful. Being useful more silently correct. And mostly when the governors, when they protest and when thinking about the government managers, some like leaders trying to use the very kind of peaceful words when they are just doing their actions. For example, they are trying to control the people. How they can control the people? They need to change their language, the accent, some like a message. The message is so important here. If they want to give the exact message to other people, they need to make this message very clear and very simple and very for their own sake. They need to change the message, they need to change the verse, and they need to create a different kind of meanings here. Okay? The morality, responsibility, sacrifice, long-term purpose, the incredulity towards meta-narratives. No story is more legitimate than other. No truth can claim maturity. No explanation is final. Contextual, linguistic, constructed, provisional. Facts do not matter on their own. What matters is in interpretation. Like the Michel Foucault, who showed how knowledge and power intertwine. If truth is always power, then no truth can demand loyalty. Religion has discourse, science has discourse, morality has discourse, identity has discourse, the sincerity, commitment, belief without irony. The simulation, other things as well, the war, love, suffering, identity. Truth becomes irrelevant, meaning becomes aesthetic, lies become content. Is this true? Does this feel real? And other thing, challenge you, wants you, demands sacrifice, affirms identity, avoids discomfort, adapts to preference, matter. But confusion, what should I believe? What commit to anything? What commit to anything? Okay, mostly in this modern era, people are trying to believe something. Everyone is fake. People wanna follow a path. People wanna follow a doctrine. Even it could be conclusion as a bad thing, even at the conclusion a bad. Most people didn't believe in Nazism. Most people didn't believe in Hitler. Mostly the Hitler bring the core which the German society lost it before, and he brought all the people together. Even the Genghis Khan. What the Genghis Khan did? Maybe they wanna fight with other people. It's understandable. Maybe think about the SpaceX. What did Elon Musk did? What Elon Musk did before? Elon Musk have done that. He collected all the people at same SpaceX, and he collected all around the people to same work. But even the Genghis Khan is same. Even the Genghis Khan tried to conquer the other countries, but it doesn't mean idea. Even the people didn't follow him, just conquering the other countries, just make the Mongolian big. Mostly, according to my opinion, he collected the other. He made an association, and before of this, he made association. People want to join this association rather than just trying to conquer around the world. This is so different kind of concept. Most of the people in this world have lacking of the belonging. If they lose their sense of belonging, most of the people can do anything else, just being sense of the anywhere else. If you want to just feel sense of belonging to somewhere else, you can do whatever the leader can say you. That's just managing and just corrupting and just leading. Can be very different way. Most of the people trying to follow someone else who can be a leader, not. Most of the people can follow someone else who can create association. The association have different kind of understanding. The association can be useful for everyone else, even you believe this kind of religion or not. But mostly they are bringing association. Even think about the Islam, Christianity, Jewish, the other Sabbatic, Zerdushism, Theism, Agnosticism, Atheism, like something like a new idea, spiritualism, Satanism, hedonism, like the Satanism, nihilism, theism, like other point of views are here, just trying to debate with each other. But most people are forgetting something here. Most people wanna believe that, which can be understandable, and they wanna get any advertisement, they wanna get any association. After they are just getting an association and they are trying to understand association, they are trying to change it. They are trying to understand it. They are trying to make it better. So according to my opinion, it is very good and it is very understandable. Rather than an aim, just a better ongoing process. The process is declaring everything rather than aim. Maybe your aim can be bad. Maybe your aim cannot be very profitable. Maybe your aim is not beneficial for others. But your aim in the end should find an association. That's what that is. The whole postmodernism destroyed the meaning of life and identity without essence. Most of the people just trying to identity. Okay, maybe they are working in a workplace, but you are not feeling any identity to there. Maybe you have lack of sense of belonging to your workplace. Maybe your identification is so different from others. But you need to understand, just find the core, find the essence. Like the who am I? Most of the people are trying to ask the question of who am I? What the fuck I'm doing here? The mostly it is the losing, it's the value of the meaning. For example, if you don't have any sense of belonging to somewhere else, if you have lack of sense of belonging, mostly people trying to ask these questions. What the fuck am I doing? Why I'm struggling? Why I'm trying to find a solution? Why I'm trying to find an answer? Because the modernity just create a meaning of life. Just he said the science and history and invitations are so important for modernity, but also, when we are living in the postmodern world, maybe we can just talk about the post-truth world, but we are just talking about the postmodern world. Everything we have created before, like the science, like the positivism, have been collapsed. Why? Mostly they are just giving the meaning, but they are not making the people satisfied. The other meaning, surrealism, like the Salvador Dali, which is the melting of the times, and the other, some like a great figures, like the structure of the David structure from the Michelangelo, and when he was just made this kind of structure after Michelangelo made the Mr. Great David structure, the church want to just get it, and they get it, and Michelangelo said, "Oh my gosh, I forgot to write my name, the fucking structure. What should I do?" He thought that there are some of missing parts on this structure. I need to just improve it, and he went to church and he wrote his name to just like Dawood structure. Why? Because they wanna get remembered by the Michelangelo who made this fucking structure. Michelangelo had made it, so they need to write their names. Why? If he didn't write his name to Mr. Dawood structure, wouldn't it be very beneficial for them or not? Mostly, even he didn't write his name to the like some Dawood structure, it will be understandable and nobody will going to judge him. But after he did that, he created a new meaning. Yes, it's a structure. It's a Mr. Dawood structure, but this structure made by me. So mostly people trying to mount something and trying to get remembered for all under centuries whenever they are trying to make something different from each other. So if you're asking my opinion, I was just struggling for a long time and I was just trying to write my book and trying to give meaning to my book, and then after the 5 years or the 10 years later, people will going to just remember me and people will going to respect me. So it was a very useful idea here, but most people trying to disagree with that, and some people will going to agree with that. Some people will like your theories and some people will going to disagree with that. It is changeable and it is understandable. Nobody will going to judge me, etc. But in the end, we need to create some meaning to life. Something stable, something discoverable, and something beneath rules and appearances. Family, religion, class, nation, gender, vocation. They were not infinitely flexible. You didn't invent yourself from nothing. You inherited, struggled with, and transformed what you were given. Meaning emerged from this tension. The Nietzsche's warning before postmodernism. Long before postmodernism, Friedrich Nietzsche saw what was coming. When God, the highest reference point, collapsed, Nietzsche warned, man becomes something that must be overcome. It was dangerous, values lost hierarchy and it lost direction, the self risk becoming arbitrary. Okay, when we are creating a God, the figure of a God, after he just released, in the postmodernism, there is no truth. Like a nihilism, what kind of say, like the hierarchy, the other things as well, the physic and metaphysic. Both are the concept have lost their meanings. That's the reason why we are in the postmodernism. All the beliefs have collapsed. All the ideologies have collapsed. The socialism, communism have collapsed. In the postmodernism, the religions are collapsed. Jewish, Christianity, Muslims collapsed. After just a collapse, most of the people trying to create something which doesn't collapse, but it wouldn't have any. That's the reason why people are complaining a lot. They just saying that we lost the meaning of a life. So what we can bring it to table and other things like the animism, like the anarchism, atheism, like the other things. People are trying to rebel it, and people trying to protest the meaning of the life, and all the concepts were given to them. They wanted to reject it, and they want to disrupt it, and after they disrupted the meaning of a life, they created new meanings to believe on it. So it's understandable here. Values lost hierarchy, and just the other identity lost the direction. The self is becoming arbitrary. I'm not just earing my ear, but like something like that. I'm doing like that. And it's so different, brother. I'm not putting in. I'm not putting in, brother. I'm just doing like that. Mostly I have just like some like a snatching. Like I'm just trying to just doing like how can I say like the other things like I was just making the in like the other things to not a fucking like the mean like other things like just give me other things as well like the sorry just trying to understand it like the my situation is so fierce like I'm just trying to sometimes other things and trying to believe on it. If you are poor life is so fast to scratch okay I was I was just scratching to my ears okay. The values loss hierarchy, as I mentioned that before. In the postmodern era, people loses the meanings when we are just give us mostly in the maybe 20 years ago, the 30 years ago, we gave the meaning of a life like being a father, just find an occupation, go to university and get a degree, and then be successful, get married, just first you find a job, get married, make a child, and die. Mostly we create this system. But mostly in here, people trying to open an OnlyFans, people trying to open Instagram, and they are trying to be a content creator. They are trying to be influencers. If you are to be an influencer, probably life is really easy for you, and you can influence people, and you can gain more advertisement money. So is it very logical? According to my opinion, it's very logical. But in the end, people have lost the meaning of a core, and they disrupt the core, and they are trying to search for a new core, which they have distracted before. If you have just lost the meaning of the life and lost the core of itself, you need to understand what's going on here, what you can bring. For example, you have lost your mother, what you are going to do. In the modernity, you have lost your mother, it's normal, but in the postmodernity, you need to create something new. For example, people don't talk about the death, and people don't talk about the bad things. Why? Mostly they believe that if you don't talk about the death, if you don't talk about the bad things, if we don't see the problem, probably the problem will going to be vanish. No, it's not possible, brother. It's only make the problem bigger than you think. If you don't see the problems as a problem, mostly the problems will going to be bigger than you think. We cannot just limit the problems. We cannot give the scratch the problems. We cannot just deal with the problems. We cannot just hang out. We cannot try to understand. We need to try to understand the problems. We need to just give the resolutions, and we need to resonate, and we need to give the solutions. The solutions can be replaceable. The solutions can be changeable. The solutions can be, again, questionable. But most of the questions coming from our general facts, which we have learned before, which we have learned from others. Most of the people trying to limit you, and most people trying to just stopping you. Most people do not want to just your limits, and they don't want to just like this. People just want to surpass your limits. And if your limits are so under the level, and if you don't dream big, if you don't think big, mostly you are going to be vanish, and you don't get remember. Most of the big ideas, big projects, big concepts are coming from the math minds. Maybe you think like the maths are so bad and maths not so correct for the society, but you need to understand they are just changing the society. Like the Bruno mentioned that the universe are just getting bigger. Is that logical? Nobody will going to understand it. Why the universe is just getting bigger? Why? Is there any solution? Yeah, maybe they are just giving a solution as a physics or another like the sandbox which we have created. The physics, the maths are just based on the concepts which we have give meaning to. But maybe this concept, the math, the physics cannot be valid in the universe, maybe in the Jupiter, maybe in the some like the other things like the Mars. Maybe we cannot deal with this kind of laws in the outside of this Earth. Okay, we are living on the Earth, and maybe it can be valid here, the math, the physics, the other concepts of believing, but it cannot be valid in other side of the world. So we need to understand what's going on here. The Mishavka show how itself happens power, like the roles, norms, narratives. Mostly the people here, even you just maybe disagree with the determinism, but we have some determinism ideas. Like the Spinoza mentioned that before. If you're just throwing a rock, the rock you're going to understand it. I'm just getting speed by my own idea, by my own sake. But it's wrong in the end, because mostly they are not getting speed by their own sex. They are getting the speed by their own beliefs and by their own surroundings. Okay. Most of the narratives, like the norms, the culture, traditions are declaring our actions. For example, I'm living in Turkey, which is very underdeveloped, which is by just getting connection by the other cultures, but it is very conservative culture. Most cities are being a conservative culture. It is really hard to surpass its limits. And if you want to go to the behind of the limits, you need to understand what's going on here and what's happening here. So if you want to surpass the limits, you need to understand whether it is correct or not. If you don't want to live here, it is really hard for you. You need to change your country. But can I change my country? No, I don't have enough money to change my country. That's the reason why I'm recording YouTube videos here. So the norms, maybe the traditions cannot be acceptable for you. That's the reason why you need to change it. If you cannot change it, it's going to be tough because you need to just adapt with the society. If you are not adapting to society, you are just checking the people around the world and you are seeing the people around the world, but you have no correlation here. You are only seeing the people and you don't have any correlation with them. So it's going to be tough for you. Even we are giving the 1,000 Turkish lira and 1,000 million Turkish lira as a salary to you, probably you don't feel yourself as a belong of the society. Even the old times, you need to live in the society and you need to understand you are belonging somewhere else. If you don't think like you are belonging somewhere else, even you think you're getting the salary, you're getting the attention, it doesn't give you anything because you have a lack of sense of belonging. Most of the sense of belongings are declaring to people where they are from, where they are belonging, what they are going to do. According to my opinion, these traditions, these customs aren't for me. But most of these traditions are very strict and they have biat culture. They are just obeying someone else who have a better status than you. But mostly, I think it is very sound like a crucial topic and this is not very correct. If you are believing and if you are praying, if you are just obeying someone else who has a better situation from you, then it's also mean that you are just getting a fact and you are trying to declare your ideas, declare your positions, declare your decisions by the others. If the others are controlling you, then where is your essence? Then where is your core? If you don't want to lose your core, if you don't want to lose your attention or essence, probably you need to create something different from each other and from the other people. The identity without essence destroys the meaning. The same you existed yesterday and will exist tomorrow, and it's accountable across time. I don't know who am I? I don't know who I am supposed to be. Exactly. I failed to live up to who I am. I don't know who I am supposed to be. Most of the illusion of freedom and most of the people want to be yourself. Be yourself. Be unique. Most of the people just selling the same lies everywhere else and people trying to be unique and they want to gain the objective perspective. But it's not true. Most of the people are lying on the internet, on the social media. They are giving the instructions to you, whichever you believe or not. Most of the people want to control your ideas. The illusion of freedom, exhaustion, self-surveillance, fear of fixing oneself. By removing it, like the postmodernism didn't free the self, it dissolved it. By removing essence, continuity, and inner obligation. And it turned identity into a surface. Okay, there are other things as well, like the morality without ground. Okay, the postmodernism destroyed the meaning of life, the morality without ground. Like, we have lost the morality. Even we are just judging someone from the social media and we are just giving them the instructions. These people should have been killed. These people should go to the echoes. This man should go to the prison. Who the fuck are you? Are you a judge or someone else? But mostly we are just being a judge on the social media and we are just giving instruction to people. You should be in prison. You are not deserving to live. Like are you a fucking judge or like some like a lawyer or something else? But most people trying to give decisions and they are going to protest and they are trying to change the world by their own perspective. What the fuck are they doing? That it is mostly even the presidents. Think about the presidents itself. Most of the presidents are perceiving the world from their own perspective and most of the people trying to believe their perspectives. If you are a leader, you need to see the world from a leader perspective. If the leader is changed, probably the new leader perspective will going to be exact truth. Is it true? Yeah. You need to understand, you need to mostly just following the path of a leader, which is ongoing now, who is just trying to be a leader ongoingly. When good and evil lost fight. We saw how postmodernism dissolves identity, God, nature, reason, and our tradition history. Sacrifice in the name of the order of truth. Relative, contextual, situational, identity-based, and the problematic and valid, offensive, acceptable, harmful, not harmful. Moral disagreement feels illegitimate, judgment feels like violence, critical feels oppressive, flexible, unstable, reversible, and the good conflicts with God. Replacing responsibility with context, preference, expression, identity signaling. Is this God is this authentic to me? Like the moral paralysis, fear of judgment. Mostly we have killed the authenticity, and people trying to create authenticity without being an authentic. People mostly pretending. For example, if you go to Japan, you will understand everybody's smiling at your face. Everybody's saying, "Go chumon wa itadakemasen ka? Ah, kono coffee o itadakemasen ka?" Like mostly they are trying to be authentic, but they are losing the authenticity because they have created to meaning of authentic, not the meaning of authentic itself. It's so different. We have lost authentically. We have lost it. The meaning of authentic. Mostly we create the being an authentic. Even the Starbucks in the Tokyo. I have always wanted to go to the Tokyo and just go to the Starbucks coffee. For example, think about Starbucks coffee. It's everywhere else. Even in the sound like a religion place. Even the Tokyo, the other countries as well. Mostly we are just believe and just drinking Starbucks concept. And when you are living in Turkey, you can just feel yourself in the ambience of the Tokyo, because Starbucks are the creating this create the same ambience everywhere else, and they want to be universal. Why the Starbucks is so important as a coffee? Because Starbucks are collecting and people Starbucks are assembling the people. Starbucks is trying to gather more people, and he trying to just like some like a destroy the limits, destroy the classes. For example, even in Turkey, maybe we are living in a third class country, but we have the Starbucks. That's the reason why we can just have both the same equal conditions between someone who are living in the Finland, Germany, Norwegian, or the Japan first class nations, and we are just getting the same energy between them because we have the same ambience. We are living in the Starbucks. That's the reason why Starbucks made it before. Even maybe it's supported or not, it's dependent. But I'm just supporting the idea as a concept, not itself. So it's different. You can also go into Starbucks. Even the Starbucks open is still here. It's changeable. Maybe someone else can love. Maybe someone else cannot love. It's changeable. I will let a moral law. I will let a social perception. Like the other things, like the I wanna mention, which is correctly I was thinking for a while, and I want to just finish it because I don't want to record it again and again. I want to get the render. The life without direction, the collapse, time and purpose. The purpose and the time have collapsed because mostly if you are living in the big cities, people are trying to catch up somewhere else. People trying to be in some like a very quick, and they are so quick. If you late your job 5 minutes, probably you can end up with the go to the some like a counter and trying to get out from your job. It can be end up with your firing. That's the reason why you need to be punctuous and you need to just do the things correctly and on the time. The time is very important, and time is so fast in the postmodern society. Time is everything. This is leading somewhere else. Even when life was harsh, suffering could be justified because this is leading somewhere. Every time the time is very rushed, brother. The other things I want to mention as a summary and get like the conclusion of this verse: when the life loses direction, meaning dissolves into momentary comfort. Okay, if you lose the meaning of, if you lose your direction, you can just get misleading and people can control it. That's the reason why you need to just disobey it. So but acceleration without direction produces movement without progress. You feel busy but not fulfilled, occupied but not oriented. Okay, maybe you are doing a job as a cashier or just like blue collar job. Maybe if you are not belonging, it is better not to doing it, but you have to do that for just getting your own money. You can get the money and you can create your own business in the end. Maybe you can just work for a while. It's understandable, but if you do that for your entire life, you are going to be unhappy. But you need to create your own business in that. Maybe you can give a try. Is meaning okay? Is meaning still possible after postmodernism? Like after everything we have discussed, can a meaningful life still exist after postmodernism? Not a theory, not a slogan, not limited. Maybe it can be occupational and it can be understand. Maybe there will be a meaning after the postmodernism. Why? Mostly, if there is no meaning, people wouldn't be able to going to live. The meaning of not having a meaning can be a new meaning. So it's understandable. It can be debatable. Okay, they create your own meaning. Exactly. We need to create our own meanings to the life, and we can try to understand the situation from our perspective. What should we do here? We need to create our own meanings in the postmodern life. Thank you for watching until now. See you on next video. Please give a like, subscription, and comment below. Thank you very much for listening until now. See you on next video. Goodbye. Arigatou gozaimasu. Thank you so much. Thank you. Goodbye. Thank you.